Playing on a Budget is brought to you by CoolStuffInc.com, the best Magic the Gathering singles and sealed retailer on the internet, GatheringMagic.com, your #1 source for Magic the Gathering news and content, and RogueDeckBuilder.com, my personal channel filled with innovative and entertaining Magic the Gathering rogue brews. Hi there, it's Kevin with GatheringMagic.com here with another episode of Playing on a Budget. This week is going to be the obvious deck that is budget. It just did very well at Grand Prix Los Angeles, and I haven't done a mono red in quite a while. Mono red typically isn't my style of play. I'm usually the biggest fan of just all aggro strategies. I'm more of a synergy player, but this mono red does have a lot of synergies in it, and going on the heroic theme that we've been going on the past couple weeks, I thought I'd give this a go and see how well it does in Standard. Now, I have a ton of experience playing against this deck. I have yet to sleeve this up and actually play it, so anywho, thought I would go over the prices here. These are brought to you by CoolStuffInc.com, the official sponsor of the Rogue Deck Builder and the Playing on a Budget series here. So we'll pull this up. This particular list that I have, just using the cards that are actually worth more than like 15 cents a piece, is going to run us at $32.92. And the cool thing about this deck is you can even cut down the cost of this deck even more. Firedrinker Satyrs, Monastery Swiftspears, and Stoke the Flames aren't 100% necessary in this deck, even though they are. Monastery Swiftspear and Stoke the Flames, I would say, are the best 1 and 2 cards in here, or I mean, it's a close second to maybe the Akroan Crusader, but there are a few replacements you can use instead of the Stoke the Flames and Monastery Swiftspear. Man, that is a tongue twister. We'll go back to the deck list here. So anywho, what you do is you probably want more copies of Arena Athlete if you were to cut down on the Monastery Swiftspear, add another Frenzied Goblin. And there's a few other 1-drops that are pretty decent. There's a lot of 2-drops like Borland Marauder and War Inspired. There's a War, I think it's War Inspired, or it's a Theros card with, or excuse me, it's a Khans of Tarkir card with Raid. It gets +1/+1. It cannot be blocked by toughness 1 or less, I believe, or power 1 or less, something like that. A creature that's hard to block and a 3/2 body. So there are plenty of other options besides these cards in front of us here. So again, really good card, though, because every spell you cast makes this guy bigger, and the 1/2 body is very significant. There are cards that do 2 damage, like Drown in Sorrow, and then in response to like Drown in Sorrow, you can make this guy bigger, and so he's a lot more durable than the rest of the cards in your deck. And again, if you're going to be casting spells per turn, the cool thing about the Swiftspear is like Dragon Mantle or Hammerhand actually pump up the Swiftspear, and you don't even have to use it on the Swiftspear. You can use it on another creature. So there's a few other options you can use in this deck. You can put Goblin Rabble Masters in this deck if you have them. They're very good cards. They have a lot of synergy with the Foundry Street Denizen. And if you're not going to use the Stoke the Flames, you'd probably just want Lightning Strike's main board or Magma Jet's main board as your burn spell. But Stoke the Flames works the best in this deck because it often is cast for free. You have usually a lot of tokens with the Akroan Crusader to Stoke the Flames, take out a blocker. Greatest thing about Stoke the Flames is it kills the Corsair of Crufix. Corsair of Crufix is probably public enemy #1. You absolutely need to kill that as quick as possible before it starts gaining them life and giving them card advantage through getting lands off the top of their library. And it kills some other things in the format with 4 toughness, like Butchers. Butcher the Horde. It's a great Stoke the Flames kills that. It kills the Stormbreath Dragon. And I believe there's a few other cards that I can't think of right now that are being played in Standard. The worst card for this deck to deal with is easily Siege Rhino. As Siege Rhino, the 3-point life swing and the 4/5 trample body is very hard for this deck to deal with. But there are just so many decks. I mean, besides Abs and Midrange, there are plenty of decks that this deck just runs over. The Rug, or I guess they're calling it, what is it, Teamer, mid-range deck is pretty easy because of the amount that Teamer, with the Pain lands and the Fetch lands and the Mana Confluences, they do a lot of damage just getting out. They want to get their 3-drop on time, and usually it costs them a couple life to do so, and then you make it not block anyways. And I mean, this deck runs over a lot of the, like, if Esper control is a thing, it's sometimes hard for Esper control to get like a 3rd turn sweeper out. Has pretty good matchups against everything else, and it just usually likes to kill on turn 4 is what this deck tries to do. So ideally you want like a Crusader or a Foundry Denizen. Any one of your 1-drops is fine. You chuck them out and then you begin just to set up the Hammerhand so they cannot block the next turn. You have like Frenzied Goblin so their creatures can't block. Arena Athlete so their creatures can't block. And pretty self-explanatory. This deck pretty much runs itself. So the one thing that this deck does have is the sideboard options. What I've got here in the sideboard is I've got 4 Lightning Strikes, 3 Magma Jets. These are really for the decks that utilize the Anger of Gods and the Drown in Sorrows, as you just don't want to get blown out by them. And so maybe on the draw, you're going to take out cards like the weaker of the cards. So probably Frenzied Goblin, Arena Athlete can come out for Lightning Strikes and Magma Jets. You want to keep in the more like Satyr Hoplites, Monastery Swiftspear can stay in. And you take out cards like the Crusader and the Foundry Denizens and put in more of a burn package, as they're just going to get swept away by Drown in Sorrows and whatnot. So you leave in, of course, the Haster, the Swiftspear, and go kind of a burn route with the Stoke the Flames, Lightning Strike, Magma Jet. Still a pretty decent little burn route here. We have Searing Blood in the sideboard for kind of the mirror or any other creature-based deck, as it both clears a blocker and deals 3 damage. And Forge Devil's in here really for the mirror or for Elvish Mystics, or any other. Again, there's still is a few decks out there that utilize 1/1 creatures or 1 toughness creatures. The Forge Devil can kill them and still put out a body for you to attack with. We have a 1 of Harness by Force to take opposing rhinos away from them and hit them in the face with their own rhinos. And Arc Lightning really is in here for the mirror as well. And you could bring this in for just pure burn. 3 damage, 3 mana for 3 damage isn't bad either. So there are a ton of options in this deck. There's like Circle of Flame that you can use for sideboard. Circle of Flame, it really hoses the this is the best card to put in against this particular deck, against this boss slide deck, as it just deals 1 damage to each attacking creature, and almost everything in this is going to be a 1 toughness card. So in the mirror you could bring in Circle of Flame. There, I've seen people use Hordling Outburst and Hall of Triumph. Again, Goblin Rabble Master can go in this deck. There are a lot of ways to upgrade this deck. And of course, there are even ways to cut the price, again, by cutting the Stoke the Flames and the Swiftspear. So again, pretty self-explanatory deck. We'll play a few matchups here and see how well this goes. Again, these are going to be very, very, I mean, this is a $35 budget. The few decks before this were very cheap ones. Again, we're going to go back to the $100 budget soon. But next week, a little spoiler alert, I'm actually going to be holding a competition, and I'm actually going to build a budget deck with the particular competition card that I'm going to be using. So stay tuned for that. We're going to have an announcement shortly on my channel at Rogue Deck Builder, exactly what that competition is. And to get things going, to get things started, I'm going to build a budget brew around this card. So anywho, we'll go on with this Red Deck Win / Boss Slide deck, see how well it does in the metagame. This has been Kevin with GatheringMagic.com. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching Playing on a Budget. If you haven't already, please subscribe to Gathering Magic and check out our Playing on a Budget playlist, which contains every episode. Thanks again, and hope to see you soon.